Before we begin, I want you to do something that requires a different kind of courage. Not the courage of the battlefield, but the courage of honesty. Take a breath and look at your life as it is right now. Your discipline, your habits, your ability to focus, your strength when facing pressure, the way you recover from setbacks, the way you carry yourself when no one is watching. If, somewhere inside, you know you're capable of more clarity, more inner power, more mastery, then don't just watch this passively. Stay until the end and subscribe to the journey we are about to build together. Your presence here is not an accident. Now, let's begin. There is a moment that exists between who you are and who you could become. Most people never enter that space. They rush through life, repeating yesterday's emotions, yesterday's frustrations, yesterday's choices. But the samurai, those warriors who shaped one of the most disciplined cultures in history, did something different. They refused to live without awareness. They refused to drift. They refused to be anything less than intentional. Their lives were a study in human potential, not just martial skill. And their 7 timeless lessons remain some of the deepest psychological and spiritual insights ever recorded. To understand the first of these lessons, you must picture something. A young samurai wakes before dawn, not because he is required to, but because he has chosen the path of mastery. The world is quiet, his breath is calm, the air is cool, and before he even reaches for his sword, he begins with the discipline of stillness. He observes the tension in his body, the direction of his thoughts, the subtle tremors of anticipation before training. He does not fight these sensations. He studies them, because the first great lesson of the samurai was that discipline begins long before action. It begins in the mind's willingness to honor a commitment, not a commitment to others, but a commitment to oneself. The samurai believed that discipline wasn't about restriction, but liberation. A disciplined mind is free from confusion. The disciplined body is free from hesitation. A disciplined life is free from regret. And yet today, discipline is one of the rarest skills. We live surrounded by distractions, engineered to fracture our attention. We call ourselves tired when we are overstimulated. We call ourselves unmotivated when we are simply unfocused. What the samurai understood is that discipline is clarity in motion. It is the art of knowing exactly what must be done and doing it, whether the world is watching or not. But discipline alone isn't enough. That brings us to the second great lesson. The samurai practiced mindfulness in every action. Not the modern, half-awake version of mindfulness, where you sit for 5 minutes and then return to chaos. No, for them, mindfulness meant consciousness embedded in movement. It meant that when they walked, they truly walked. When they observed, they truly observed. When they lifted a sword, they lifted it with the full weight of their intention. Their presence was not scattered across 100 worries and memories. It was anchored in the moment directly in front of them. Today, we often confuse busyness with productivity, multitasking with intelligence, and speed with progress. But being everywhere is the fastest path to being nowhere. The samurai knew that victory is born from presence, not pressure. When the mind is steady, the body follows. When the mind is quiet, strategy emerges. When the mind is fully here, life becomes something you participate in, not something that simply happens to you. There is a story of a sword master who once told his students, "You do not lose because your opponent is stronger. You lose because your mind leaves the fight before your body does." Think about that. How many times have you failed not because you weren't capable, but because you weren't present, because your mind wandered, your emotions hijacked the moment, or your doubts drowned out your instinct. Mindfulness, as the samurai practiced it, was a way to reclaim your life from the subtle enemies within: fear, distraction, impatience, ego. The third great lesson they embraced was continuous improvement. And while the idea of Kaizen has been commercialized globally, its origin is much deeper than efficiency. For the samurai, improvement wasn't a strategy, it was identity. They believed that the moment you think you've learned enough, you've already begun to rot. Growth was not something they did. Growth was what they were. Every morning was a chance to refine an angle of movement, a breath pattern, a decision-making habit, a moral stance. They lived with the quiet understanding that each small improvement, each perfect stroke of calligraphy, each precise movement of the blade, organized the mind, sharpened intuition, and shaped character. In our world, improvement has become a comparison game. People measure progress by external milestones. The samurai did the opposite. They measured progress by subtle shifts inside themselves. Greater calm under pressure, fewer wasted movements, deeper patience, more consistency. They believed real improvement is invisible at first. It grows quietly like a seed under earth, until suddenly, one day, it becomes a tree. The fourth lesson, resilience, was the warrior's backbone, and not resilience as we understand it today, motivational slogans and temporary energy. Samurai resilience was something carved into the soul through repeated exposure to hardship. They understood that life does not reward those who crumble at the first sign of difficulty. It rewards those who withstand pressure with dignity. Their resilience wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It was quiet strength. It was the refusal to be broken by circumstances. It was the ability to take a defeat and transform it into strategy. Their wounds became their wisdom. Today, many people believe resilience is about enduring pain. But the samurai believed resilience is about transforming pain, not just surviving adversity, but learning from it, rebuilding from it, evolving through it. And here is something most people never realize. Resilience is not built during moments of crisis. It is built during the moments when you choose effort over comfort, consistency over emotion, and integrity over convenience. It is built by the small battles, waking early when you don't want to, sitting with discomfort instead of avoiding it, finishing what you start. These micro moments carve the inner armor required for the storms of life. And that leads us to the fifth great lesson, the power of strategy. The samurai never acted impulsively. Their lives were a balance of instinct and analysis. They studied their environment, their opponents, their limitations, their strengths. They never fought a battle unprepared, and they never underestimated the power of planning. To them, strategy wasn't prediction, it was perception. It was the art of understanding patterns, rhythms, energy, timing. Strategy is the ability to see not just what is in front of you, but what could be. It is thinking beyond the emotion of the moment, and instead, aligning actions with long-term purpose. But here is where modern society fails. People plan only when they feel overwhelmed. The samurai didn't wait for chaos to force strategy upon them. They strategized in moments of peace so they could execute in moments of crisis. They understood that a person without a plan is like a warrior entering battle without a blade. Life will not bend for you unless you meet it with intention. The sixth lesson, integrity and honor, formed the spirit of Bushido, and this is perhaps the most powerful one for our age. We live in a world where many people wear masks. They say what is convenient, not what is true. They choose shortcuts over principles, popularity over authenticity, external image over internal virtue. But the samurai believed honor was not an external reputation, but an internal compass. It was the quiet voice that said, "Do what is right even when no one will ever know." To live with honor means acting in alignment with your values, even when it is uncomfortable. It means telling the truth when lies would be easier. It means walking away from what is wrong, even when the wrong thing offers pleasure or profit. And finally, the seventh lesson, adaptability. The samurai understood that rigidity is the death of potential. The tree that cannot bend will eventually break, but the tree that moves with the wind survives every storm. Adaptability means responding to life with intelligence rather than ego. It means letting go of control, not out of weakness, but out of wisdom. It means understanding that every obstacle contains an opportunity, and every change contains a new path. You may think adaptability is a natural talent. The samurai believed the opposite. Adaptability is a trained skill. It grows in you each time you embrace uncertainty, each time you step into something unfamiliar, each time you dissolve the fear of the unknown. And in an era defined by constant change, adaptability is one of the greatest strengths a human being can possess. Imagine a samurai preparing for battle at dawn, not running, not panicking, not rushing. Instead, he moves with calm precision, tying his armor with quiet hands, mentally rehearsing his strategy, feeling the weight of life and death without letting fear dominate him. His breath is steady, his posture unshaken, his mind anchored. This is what it means to live these 7 lessons, not to know them intellectually, but to integrate them until they become part of your natural way of being. And perhaps the most profound truth behind all samurai wisdom is this: every battle you will ever fight in life happens within yourself long before it happens around you. The first internal battle is with discipline. Part 1 explored discipline as a foundation, but now we go deeper into its spiritual dimension. The samurai believed discipline wasn't just about behavior, it was about purification. If your life feels chaotic, if your emotions are unpredictable, if your focus fractures easily, the samurai would say it's not because you lack willpower, it's because your inner environment is cluttered. They purified their space so they could purify their mind. A simple, clean room, a consistently ordered practice space, the sound of a blade being cared for. These outer disciplines were mirrors of an inner discipline. And here is the truth most people forget. The way you do small things is the way you do everything. The next internal battle is with presence. The samurai developed what modern psychologists call psychophysiological coherence, the ability to regulate emotion, attention, and action with precision. When a samurai walked, he walked with the awareness of someone who might need to draw his sword within a heartbeat. When he listened, he truly listened, with all senses open. When he spoke only what was necessary. Presence wasn't meditation. Presence was survival. Imagine how different your life becomes when you bring that level of presence into your daily interactions. You hear what people don't say. You notice the opportunities others overlook. You respond rather than react. You stop living life as if you're half awake. You occupy your life fully. The third internal battle is with stagnation. Continuous improvement wasn't about constant pressure. It was about constant awakening. The samurai treated each day like an unpainted canvas. They believe the most dangerous thing a person can do is assume they already know enough. Their humility was not weakness, but the gateway to mastery. Today, many people crave progress, but resist change. They want transformation without discomfort. What the samurai understood, a profound truth. You cannot elevate your life while keeping your old self intact. Improvement requires shedding, releasing, outgrowing. They practiced Kaizen not as a productivity system, but as a spiritual practice. Every day, a small shift, a refinement, a correction. And over years, those micro-adjustments shaped an unshakable character. Then comes the fourth internal battle, adversity. Modern culture often treats challenges like something to avoid, outsource, or numb. But the samurai saw adversity as a forge. Their resilience was not the absence of pain, it was the willingness to stand inside the fire long enough to be transformed by it. A broken plan didn't break them. A defeat didn't define them. A wound didn't weaken them permanently. It strengthened their understanding. And here's something crucial. Adversity doesn't build character unless you consciously engage with it. You have to decide that hardship is not your enemy, but your training. The fifth internal battle is with impulsiveness. Strategy is not just planning. It is the elevation of foresight over instinct. Many people today live in reaction mode. They make decisions from urgency, emotion, or fear. But the samurai practiced strategic detachment. Before every major action, they stepped back, observed, assessed, calculated. They knew that emotional decisions often create long-term consequences. When you live strategically, you live deliberately. You stop wasting energy. You stop getting pulled into meaningless battles. You stop seeking validation from the wrong places. You choose your battles with precision. Strategy gives your life direction. But perhaps the deepest internal battle the samurai fought was the battle for integrity. Modern society often rewards shortcuts, appearances, and performative morality. But the samurai lived by a code that held them accountable even when no one was watching. Honor wasn't a public identity. It was a private standard. They believed that betrayal of self was the worst kind of defeat. If you say you will do something, do it. If you make a commitment, uphold it. If you hold a belief, embody it. It seems simple, yet most people live fragmented lives, thinking one thing, saying another, doing a third. And fragmentation is the root of inner suffering. Integrity is the bridge between who you are and who you want to be. And finally, the seventh battle, adaptation. This is where the samurai transcended the warrior stereotype. Their true genius wasn't strength, it was fluidity. They trained to respond to any circumstance with intelligence rather than rigidity. An opponent changes tactics? Adapt. A plan collapses? Adapt. Life shifts unexpectedly? Adapt. And adaptability isn't passive. It's a dance between acceptance and initiative. The samurai embodied the truth that those who cling to old ways are destroyed by new realities. Adaptability is the art of survival, but more than that, it's the art of evolution. Now think about these 7 internal battles as they appear in your life. You face them every day, whether or not you acknowledge them. You fight the battle of discipline when you choose between distraction and purpose. You fight the battle of presence when your mind wanders during important moments. You fight the battle of improvement when you resist new habits. You fight the battle of adversity when something doesn't go your way. You fight the battle of strategy when you choose between impulse and intention. You fight the battle of integrity when you break your own promises. You fight the battle of adaptability when change forces you to evolve. These are your battles, and the samurai lessons are not history, they are mirrors. When you learn to master these internal conflicts, something extraordinary happens. Your external world begins to reorganize itself around your newfound clarity. You start speaking with more authority. You start moving with more purpose. You start making decisions with more confidence. You stop being easily shaken. You stop wasting emotional energy. You stop walking around with silent frustration or quiet defeat. You become someone others can rely on, someone others respect, someone others look to for guidance, not because of force, but because of presence. And here is a truth the samurai understood deeply. The greatest victories are invisible to others. They happen in the silent hours when you show up for yourself, in the moments when you overcome an old version of yourself, in the times when no one is watching, but you rise anyway. So as you finish this final part, I want you to ask yourself one question, the question every samurai had to answer before stepping onto the battlefield. Who am I choosing to become? Not someday. Not when conditions are perfect. Not when motivation magically appears. But today. Because there is no path to greatness that does not begin with a choice. If you reach this point, then the samurai spirit is already alive in you. Don't let it fade. Don't let it disappear back into the noise of everyday life. Let it sharpen you, strengthen you, transform you. And now, as a final call to action, not just for the video, but for your life, take the step the samurai would have taken. Subscribe, commit, and keep walking this path of mastery. Greatness honors those who pursue it. Your journey continues now.